Hi guys, I hope you're well. I'm getting over a cold, so please excuse me if I sound a bit blocked today. Today's vlog is going to be a little bit different. From next week we'll get back into movie reviews and other sort of geeky things. But today I want to talk about something a bit more serious. As I'm sure many of you know, last week Chester Bennington, who's the singer-songwriter for Linkin Park, he committed suicide at the age of 41. Now, I know that for many of us, Linkin Park was pretty much the soundtrack of our teens and our 20s. They sort of gave a lot of vocal expression to the frustrations that we were feeling at that time in our lives, when sort of our ideals and our dreams were clashing with sometimes very harsh reality. They certainly, Linkin Park remains one of my top favorite bands of all time, and so yeah, news of Chester's death hit hard, and I saw a lot of people's Facebook statuses and Twitter. People were very devastated by this, long-time fans. Of course, this isn't the first time it's happened recently. Back in May, Chris Cornell of Soundgarden Audioslave, he did the same thing. Both Chris and Chester were men who were known for having mental health issues and substance abuse problems, which were very interlinked. But yeah, there's been a lot of suicide actually this year. I feel that another example, director Zack Snyder stepping away from the Justice League reshoots because of the death of his daughter, again taking her life. So him having to deal with that and his family. Yeah, and even in my personal life, I think within the first 2 weeks of January, I knew 2 acquaintances who successfully took their lives, and also another friend who had to be monitored because they were demonstrating suicidal tendencies. So yeah, it's rough out there. The world is not a great place when you look at it on the news. There's a lot of awful people managing to get away with awful things, and a lot of frustration as to how much injustice is happening. And that's not even getting into people's personal lives and the unique issues that they may be facing in their personal lives. So yeah, depression. You can talk about it for hours if you want to, but I just wanted to speak about 2 points as a PSA. This is specifically for those people whose knee-jerk reaction to hearing of suicide is to loudly proclaim it as selfish and cowardly. I'm going to assume that these people really don't have much of an experience with dealing with depression, so I'm going to offer a few observances. Firstly, the question, is suicide selfish? Yeah, absolutely. But does the depression sufferer see it like that? No. I think you need to understand that depression comes with a little voice in your head all the time. It's a very insidious inner monologue, and it's exceptionally good at making lies and irrational statements seem like truths. If you have anxiety, I think you will be familiar. There's again another sort of little inner voice that's always there, but with anxiety that voice tends to be a bit more strident and hysterical, and if you know what it is, with practice you can learn to block it out and discount it a lot of the time. That's actually a lot harder with, I think, the voice of depression, because it sounds so reasonable and calm and convincing most of the time. I think that once you've got to the point of contemplating suicide, that voice is convincing you that your loved ones would actually be better off without you. The message that you're receiving from those little whispers between your ears is that you're holding people back with your misery. In the long run, they'll be fine. They have a support system. You're on your own. They're paired up. They can support each other, and so on and so on. These messages, you know, they rationalize that taking your own life is okay, that it will be fine. And it doesn't stem, I don't think, ever from a let them fend for themselves kind of selfishness. Secondly, I think when you make very loud claims about suicide as selfish and the work of a coward and demonstrating weakness, you're not actually thinking about the other people around you. There are a lot of depressed people out there. Depression doesn't have one face, And a lot of people are quite closeted about it because there is still a stigma. Professionally, people don't want to hire depressed staff, even though people may be popping pills every day to just for them to cope. So when you are going out there on social media or wherever and you are equating suicide with selfishness and cowardice, you're making depressed people feel worse. Because chances are, if they've gone down that road far enough, they have contemplated suicide at some point. They just don't want to be around anymore. They're tired. So another way to just look at it is that depression and living with it is much like having a viral infection, like malaria or HIV, for example. I think it's pretty much impossible to cure. It not necessarily go away. The most you can do through your whole life is manage it. And sometimes you can stay on top of things, other times a stressor agent will come along and it'll compromise the body. You sort of weaken a little bit physically, mentally, and there's a relapse of varying severity. So like I've already mentioned, with depression, there's a little voice in your head. You wake up in the morning and it sort of starts your day by whispering, you know, you're not good enough, or you're a failure, or what's the point? And it'll repeat that mantra all day. It takes a particularly strong person to shut that out. Otherwise, people are literally having to function all day with that voice, those demons in their head every single day. So when you are bellowing on Twitter, so Facebook, wherever, that people are cowards and weak, you're just reconfirming that voice that they are literally trying to shut out all day. You're confirming that anytime they entertain those thoughts, that they are weak and awful, and you're not helping. So at the end of the day, I think the point of just this video is to say, just check yourself, show some compassion, some sensitivity and some empathy. Even if you don't understand, just think about the deceased, what got them to that point, and think about those left behind and whether your communications are helping or not. Just please think about what you have to say, especially if you don't have to see them like eye to eye. If your communications are always through a screen, pretend that screen's not there. It's not a barrier. Your words still have impact, and that's just generally through our age of electronic communication. Otherwise, just a couple of other housekeepings before we wrap up this vlog. If you do want geeky content, and today has been a bit of a heavier video, last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I did a podcast with South African geek culture YouTuber Janus, aka The Tunes. He has a channel here on YouTube, and you can find the link below this video. So you are more than welcome, and I encourage you to give that podcast / video a watch or a listen. You know, just listen while you're doing the dishes or something. We talk about everything from cosplay to introversion, to growing up as a geek and how to deal with people who may not understand that. A lot of topics for about 90 minutes or so. So there's a lot of content there to listen to. Second order of business, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to this channel and my Facebook page, which is also Fangirl with a P in front. That would be very appreciated. But yeah, please just, I don't have anything else to say today except just be kind to each other. Peace out, and see you next video when I'm hoping will be more